I'll need a second to do that.
Okay. Jamie is also watching us too. Okay. Okay.
Make sure it's working.
5 minutes?
No, I just need to email Shelley.
Yes, oh, yeah. Yeah, you came until. Okay.
Almost. Sorry, I don't have the terrible screen. No, okay.
Ready?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for your patience. We know how important technology is and we just wait because it makes a difference in people being able to participate.
Hold on.
This,
Probably just sent me a text. You know, right? I hate
Okay,
Okay, I'm ready.
okay.
go ahead.
So this room is equipped with a hearing loop, which means if your hearing aids or cochlear implants have telecoil, put them on their telecoil program, and you will hear the sound from the microphone directly. It's like having your own personal receiver. Otherwise, you can captions, you can listen. Is anyone using the loop? Okay. Okay. Then
Do you have telecoil?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay,
it's, some people call it telephone switch. It's not Bluetooth, but it's a different program.
I don't think so. I just have 4 channels that I'm aware of.
Okay, and
Which one you listening to
telephone is one of
now?
them.
Choice.
I'm thinking you do have a telecoil program in your hearing aid. You just need to contact your audiologist and ask him
Plug
to
that
turn it on and program it, yeah.
Yeah. Yep, if you don't know, ask your audiologist and see if it's there, see if you can put it on. My name is Kathy Evans, and I'm a hard of hearing program assistant with Sue, and we are excited to be doing this new workshop today. We have posted some communication rules. I'm sure you've had time to look at them already. And just keep them in mind. People who are using the assisted listening and are on the loop have no directional hearing once they're there. And so we need you to raise a hand so that people will look at you before they start talking. I want to ask you, do you hide your hearing loss? I see a yes. No?
I used to.
You used to?
Why?
I think you feel like you're Superman. And when you find out that you have a
Talk in
hearing
the
loss,
microphone.
when you find out that you have a
You can
hearing
pull it
loss,
up, you can pull it up.
I told Sue and Jack this in our class. When I found out that I had a hearing loss, I was devastated. That's just the mental part of it. You've gotta get, once you get over that hump, you're home free. You could care less about your hearing aids. But it's that initial, holy cow. You know, how did that happen? Well, it does. And in both ears. And I felt like I was in the 6th grade and I was half blind and everyone was making fun of me.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get over that. It's the parallel is kind of like your eyesight, you know,
Yeah.
and getting glasses and so forth. But once you get over that mental part, I think you're home free. But until you get there, you're kind of introverted about the whole deal. And, you know, I remember talking with a number of folks that I worked with, and they said, you can't even see those things. So
We
that's
thought putting them on would draw all the
Right.
negative attention to you.
right. So anyway, that's my little experience.
Yeah, that's
So there is a happy
so
ending.
valuable. Uh-huh.
It doesn't take very long, and you're just like your glasses. You're comfortable putting them on. You're comfortable with your hearing aids. You're good to go.
Hopefully, yes. Sharon, what's been your experience that way? Move the microphone close to you.
I'm kind of embarrassed by it, because nobody believes me. They say I talk too clearly for being hearing impaired, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's so embarrassing to me, but it's been embarrassing.
I don't think you're alone in that feeling either. How do you react when you feel embarrassed about it?
I blush.
You bluff. Hit the nail on the head.
I try to think that I know what they're saying, but I took the speech or lip reading class in
Uh-huh.
Shelley, and I found out I really am dependent on the lip reading. But I blush it all the time. If I can't understand anything, I just shake my head and say, okay. How I found that out even worse is, we were at a restaurant, and how many times do you have trouble hearing in a restaurant? And I don't drink, but my grandson kept saying, Grandma, he's 26, he says, do you want me to order you a bourbon or a vodka or this thing? And I said, sure. I said, sure. And then his mom started to laugh, and everybody on the table started to laugh. So it embarrassed me because
You didn't know what you had
I
agreed
had,
to.
yeah, I had no idea what I agreed to. But then when, somebody next to me talked to my hearing aid, yeah, I knew what I agreed to, and I felt like leaving.
That just made it worse, didn't it?
Yeah.
What do other people think when we bluff? How do they perceive it?
I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But when you give them that blank stare, they're going to catch on pretty quick. You know, or you're not. You know, whatever, they're gonna go, you missed it. Or she missed it.
Uh-huh.
You know, or they're not understanding. Because your eyes kind of give you the facial expression. Especially with my wife, she goes, try that in a sailor. Anyway, that's how
Even without the wrong answers.
that hesitation.
You're hearing, is that right, Karen and Janet? What do you think
last year. She was a great aunt when we were growing up, and that was the way old time where they had like the hearing aids that, you know, they put down their underwear, bras, or whatever else, so it didn't come down. And she was, I have no idea, looking back now, how deaf she really was, but she really couldn't hear. And my dad, I can remember how long he's had hearing aids, but they haven't ever been embarrassed, and I don't know if it was just because it was an age, so I don't even think about it. I had a friend who was deaf from doing asphalt machines down in California for a long time, and he lips really well. He was too deaf, I think, for hearing aids. So I don't know. To me, I guess it's nothing to be embarrassed about. The only thing that I can think of is that they talk about how a lot of the younger, even like 40s, 30s and 40s are having hearing problems way earlier than even as our hearing is today, not as good as it was probably at 20.
Yeah.
However, it may be less and less embarrassing to people as this starts to become younger and younger and younger that this is, yeah. And we grew up in the 60s, hello.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember.
You earned it.
Yeah, I remember how loud those concerts were. They still are, they're worse, I think, than they were.
Yeah. And a lot of people have outdated impressions of hearing loss. The technology's come so far, like you learned, Joe, that I can't even see those things. And they make such a difference now, whereas before they would just amplify everything, and you could only make them loud enough that what hearing you still had could handle that amplification. And you still weren't getting things that you were missing before. And so technology is so much better that I think those old time feelings of you're deaf and dumb are no longer applicable. And yet, in our generation, that something's on. You're younger than I am. But you know, we need to be aware of that. So when you're with a group of people, are there things that scare you about being upfront about your hearing loss? Linda?
I think my only problem really is when I get in a big group, I just kind of zone out
Mm-hmm.
because I give up trying to listen to everybody. And if I really want to know, I have to ask somebody. Today I had a problem. The room I was in was really noisy, with a lot of people talking and everything. I ended up just getting real close to the person I was talking to. Still couldn't understand her. But at least we managed to make conversation. I know I'm going to have that same problem just if things get alone and we have different.
Yeah, how do you feel about Thanksgiving coming up? You're going to have trouble? Is it going to be a challenge?
It's a big one, a big challenge.
A big challenge?
And when I start not hearing when I'm in a really huge group, I tend to sometimes turn down my hearing aids because I feel like I'm at a loss. You know, I can't hear, I can't understand, so why listen?
And do you hear better, any better when you turn your hearing aids down? But does it let you stay in the situation longer?
I just sit in there and act dumb. I sit in there and just,
Which you really don't want to do.
yeah, either that or leave the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's lots of times, my whole family comes over on Sunday night, and when they're all talking at once, this person's doing a conversation on this side of the table, or, you know, from
Yeah.
room to room or whatever, and they're yelling at each other about something, and I can't hear. I get up and go in the kitchen and make crackers and cheese or vegetable tray or something like that,
What a smart thing to do though.
because I just can't handle it.
Yeah. To get away from noise for a while.
Yeah,
To
just
regain.
have a rest, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. To get a purpose again.
Mhm.
I like that. I like that. A lot of us have fear about getting up front about our hearing loss. And when Shelley pulled this together, she suggested that we look at where that fear first originated. Like you said, when it first hit you, you had a hearing loss. I dare say fear was part of your reaction. What's this mean to me? Am I going to be able to keep my job? Am I going to lose all my friends? What's going to happen to me? But she said, think back to when it first became a problem for you to be upfront about hearing. And she talks about an abusive type relationship she was in, where the guy wouldn't accommodate her hearing loss. He was really put out by it. And he didn't like having captions on the television, she said, and used her hearing loss against her. He didn't like to repeat, and he'd be really nasty about doing it. But she said once that she traced it back to that child.
In the restaurant yesterday, and the noise level was really high, and it was hard to hear the guy I was with, and that is, so I guess for me, I look at this more from the listening side of things. How can people help me to hear them? Because I really haven't crossed that bridge yet, even though it's probably going to happen someday that I do have to get an aid. But for now, it's the clarity of speech. If speech is clear, I hear well. And I really struggle with young people and the fact they don't want to hear clear. They don't know your husband anymore. And that was the Bible. And I, what? So that's hard for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes people make a lot of noise in the background while they're talking. I can't hear damn thing. Like,
So, go ahead, Sue.
Well, no, I just wanna add, after, class, the sign language class, on Tuesday, the three of us had lunch in the cafeteria, and there was a piano player. He was so loud. I mean, he was a great piano player, but it was really hard to kind of understand. But we practiced making sure that we can understand each other, looking, and I know Joe, sometimes he doesn't move his mouth, so it's like I have to encourage you to move your mouth. But we were accommodating to each other. If we didn't understand, we would bring it up. So that was the challenge too. So it's like each situation is different. You can just sit there and nod and bluff, but because we had this discussion about what to do when you're not understanding each other and how to speak up and say, hey, I need you to speak up. We even talked about moving to another room. Jack said, should we go to another room? And it's like, no, I think we can handle this. But then he kept playing louder and louder.
it was good.
We probably should have moved to another room.
Yeah, well, they have that little room like just off that main hall.
Right.
Yeah, we could.
Right.
Any rebuttal? About the noise in the background? No? Okay.
What happened?
Sometimes you have to consider the room that you're in also. If it's a small room, there's a lot of people in there, you're not going to hear period. And that's like the piano, You've got that kind of noise in the small room, and really you can't do much.
Except, what would you do? What if you found yourself in that with a cousin that you wanted to talk to?
Keep something out, someplace else.
I like that. Sharon, you were gonna say something.
I think the kids nowadays, I have this problem with all of my little granddaughters. Their hearing is so high pitched that I can't hear the high pitched noises. And and they talk very fast. And so I'm always constantly saying, look at me, I want to see what you're saying, look at me. And they all just they get discouraged too, you know? So they don't wanna look at me, they just wanna talk to my back, their back and walk out of the room, or because they're too busy, you
But
know?
you hit on such an important one, look at me, let me see what you're saying.
One thing I cannot stand to have somebody say after they've talked and I didn't hear them properly, I'll say, what did you say? Can you repeat that? And my husband does this all the time. Never mind.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, that's so frustrating. I wanna go punch him right in the nose where his because it just,
You
you
watch
know,
yourself.
and I've got, so finally, I've got brave enough to say to him, no, you don't say never mind, that is wrong, that's a, you know, but he's still there, never mind. And so I think he must have said something that, to hurt me, and which is usually the case, but he teases a lot, you know, or else he'll just say, you don't need to know.
I had two, I have 4 children, and when the girls were married, the 2 boys were left at home. And they would say things together, and they'd say, what? And they'd say, oh, you don't wanna know. I said, yes, I do, I'm your mom, I wanna know. My husband looked at me and he said, Kathy, you really don't want to know. And I trusted him that I really did not want to know. Then I got my cochlear implant. All of a sudden I could hear these things that my 2 sons were saying. You're right, I didn't want to know. But if you said, don't say that to me, you need that respect. You need them to come through. Take a look at this communication tips. It says communication is a 2-way street. And there are things that hearing people need to do, but there are things that we need to do as well. And it can't just be one side or the other. We really need to work together. Take a quick look at that and tell me if you have any comments or any questions on it. What do you think? What do you think about presenting your communication needs? Is it fair to say to someone else, oh, I need you to come a little closer to me. I need you to speak a little louder. Is that okay?
Well, I think you state it here, well, it says be upfront about your hearing loss. I mean, why talk for 5 minutes without hearing, right?
And if you're not upfront, when you finally get around to telling them, you know, I haven't heard much of what you said, how are they gonna feel? So, oh, and you're just now letting me know. It's like this last thing on our communication tips for class. If you're not hearing, please let us know. We wanna fix it now, we don't want you to sit through the whole class. We wanna do something about it. But, so let's kind of look, if you let people know, then they can make a difference. And I remember the first time being in a class like this that I said, I have a hearing loss, and I need you to look at me when you talk. Just to say, I have a hearing loss, just kind of. But after I said it a couple of times, it comes out all the time now. Oh, I have a hearing loss. I miss what you said. Really slow down. On the telephone the other day, I said, I have a hearing loss and I'm trying to figure out why I'm not understanding you. But I'm not, and I need your patience. Will you try speaking a little louder? And we worked through it, we finally communicated. But to be upfront and to be able to say, I have a hearing loss, or I don't hear well, whatever you need to say, practice them, get used to that, so you can be upfront. Sometimes you just get stuck on a word, and if you say, what? They'll say the same thing exactly the same way, and there's that word right in the middle that you missed the first time and you missed it again. And of course it's the most important word in the sentence. How can you handle that?
Rephrase it.
To rephrase. Yeah. That's great. How else could you say it to them? How can you get over that one word that bothers you? Write it out. I like that. What about telling them what you did hear and say, I'm missing something. What am I missing?
That's real helpful.
And if they say it again, Joe.
I think for me, my lovely wife, if I get the sound bites, she's a lot happier with that than what. Because then the what turns up the volume, and then the volume turns to the tone. And then you go, I can hear you. So you've kind of gone this way instead of this way. But if I like that fragmented sentence, if I say, and we're watching a TV show, and I say, okay, I got this part, and this part. Karen seems to be real receptive to foreign impacts. But if I just say what, it's like, here we go again.
I'll tell you on a commercial.
And we're all that way. If somebody says what to us and wants us to repeat something, how many times are we going to have to do that before we get frustrated? So that question,
Yeah.
by being able to tell someone else you got part of it, but you're just missing a little bit, you get a little bit more empathy out of it.
I think that's good.
I have a question, because as I'm listening, and maybe I had a different experience because I had my great aunt and my dad, again, because my daughter has a higher voice, she's in her 20s, and he said for years, I miss half of what she says because it's that pitch, even if his ears in, sometimes he still misses. However, and again, she's younger, and he has a son too, who I sat next to just this summer, and I could not understand a word that boy said the entire time he was talking at the dinner. And my hearing was okay, I just could not understand a word he said. It was ridiculous. So I think the lack of enunciation, which I think has gotten worse generationally, honestly, and it's probably worse now with texting and computers and the way we communicate. But I've never, if somebody said, I have a hearing aid, or I remember the first time, because I wasn't paying attention, that you really could not hear. And they said, oh no, Joe's not hearing. Oh, okay. And I guess for me, it's no different than someone having glasses. And so I'm wondering, is there that much, is there still that stigma to hearing aids? Or not being able to hear as well as, you do when you're 20, because and especially we notice with each other both, is if we really aren't paying attention to the other one, and they say something that's like, I'm sorry, say that again, cause it's almost like your mind is somewhere else, and you're not really paying attention, to what's going on around you, maybe as well as we should be. And I'm wondering, I think a lot of times our world has become that anyway, there's so much going on all the time, so much stimulation, and I don't know, I just wonder, is there that much stigma from the people, is there really still? That's interesting.
What do you think?
I think there is, partially, you look at all the advertisements in the paper, where they keep saying, get a hearing aid, nobody will ever know, because you can't see it and everything, and I thought, they're giving the wrong impression. You need to be able to see those hearing aids, just to let people know, hey, I'm having trouble.
So I think you hit on something, remember now they have, braces were bad, right, all those years, now they have all the colored braces.
Yeah.
You have all these glasses that have now become fashion instead of glasses, maybe they need to do something with hearing aids, you should start something.
Yeah.
Get that big megaphone.
No, but why can't you make designer hearing aids?
There are some kids that I've noticed that have hearing aids, and the most they have are green, red, purple, whatever. It's very interesting.
And I've seen people with cochlear implants that decorate the sound processors and put jewels on them.
Yeah.
That would make a difference, but I think the stigma's still there. What do you think? I think it's better than it was, but I think part of that perception is all that squealing hearing aid that doesn't help grandma hear at all. I can't fall into that category. What do you think, Jen?
We walked in and we went the wrong way, and, we walked all the way around the building, and honestly, I got nervous because I wasn't sure if I could sign. I knew I could spell. And I would've gotten where, I started to panic because I was afraid that I was gonna have to interact with somebody that was not hearing, okay, deaf, if I can use that word, and I was starting to sweat. Just coming around, and finally we walked into a room and there was another seminar going on tonight. And he said, oh, well, we know there's another seminar, and they pointed us, and they were full hearing, and what do you call people that are not hard of hearing?
Hearing?
Just hearing, they hear?
Hearing. Did we learn that, hearing, deaf, hard of hearing? No, we didn't.
No,
Well, that
bad
was
teacher.
yesterday's class, yes.
Bad teacher.
Yeah.
We learned whiskey.
We didn't get that far.
Joe, we got screwed. Well, we know whiskey. But then I started, okay, I could do this. I could have got there. I could have got us here. But now, listening to everybody, I'm very comfortable if I do know that somebody is not hearing, that I could speak well enough that you could read my lips. That's what I would look for.
And that's a good place to start.
Yeah, well, yeah, because obviously I was sweating if I had to try to communicate, with what little I learned. It's your fault.
That's right, blame me for not practicing.
If it makes you feel better, Sue can handle it.
I love her. She's a great teacher. We had a lot of
She
fun.
is, isn't she? We're in another of her classes and we love it. So, you're planning to interact with a lot of people over the next couple of months. And you need to anticipate what's going to come up. Would you wear a button that says face me, I lip read?
Whatever you want. I don't know how to lip read.
Show me your signs.
Now I know two. You don't want to see the other.
Feel free to take one if you use it, but we'd love you to have I want to stop.
Yeah.
No, I want the one that says
I mean,
hang on here, what are my choices?
so, we're gonna talk more about some of the situations in the next part. But there's part of this that I wanna make sure we talk about just a little bit. And it's how you address your needs. When you say to someone, I have a hearing loss, I can't read your lips because you've got gum in your mouth, would you spit it out? Does that work?
Probably not. I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable personally with
Mm-hmm.
invading that person's personal space, so to speak.
Pointing out a problem, right? Would you be more apt to just change communication partners? To say, I'm never gonna understand him because he has gum in his mouth. Oh, I'm gonna go over here and talk to somebody else.
I think we probably all would have a timer on that one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we get so far and then we just, well, like we go to a social occasion, how long do you spend with each individual? You know, you wanna be a butterfly of sorts, you wanna be able to catch up with X number of people that are there.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll say, okay, it's been great to visit with you, and you move on.
Yeah.
And I think that could work with your hearing without offending you.
Okay. I see too many people with hearing loss who are very passive about their own needs. They just say, oh, I'm too hard to talk to. Nobody's gonna talk to me, that's okay, I'm just gonna sit here. Or they say, you know, I need hearing aids, but, oh, I don't wanna get them, and they never get around to doing it. They're not looking out for themselves at all. That's a passive response to the problem. At the other end of the spectrum is people who are very aggressive about it. You know I can't hear when you talk from behind me. What's the matter with you? How many times do I have to tell you? When all you're focused on is your own needs and you don't care how it affects them. And that's more of an aggressive stance. And it doesn't win you friends and it doesn't win you cooperation. But there's this place in the middle, and it's on the back of this sheet, where it's not just your needs and it's not just their needs. It's this little place in the middle that intersects. And you say, I want to hear what you're saying, but you speak too fast. I need you to slow down a little. And I know you're gonna forget, because I'm the only person you have to slow down for. So if I do this, will you remember that means slow down? And I can guarantee in the next 10 seconds you'll be reminding them again. They will start out doing it just right. And then they get into their next talk and they speak again and you slow down. But that meets your needs and it meets their needs as well. And you can't be afraid to use it. And to use it with respect. Any comments? Any questions? For what we've done so far? We're just getting started now. We're gonna take a 5-minute break because listening is hard work, except Joe has a comment, right?
Maybe a little input on spouse stuff, where you've been together 30 years and you say, never mind. But then you move into a crowd of people and, for lack of a better term, they're more polite. And it's not that your spouse is being rude, it's just that you've lived together for 30 years. How would this lady or her husband
who has stops on that? How can you get someone to stop saying,
You need a button.
I put it in his face, and in fact, I wanna stick it on his nose or something to let him know, but he just doesn't listen. In fact, another thing that he does, if he says never mind, if he repeats it, he goes up louder, and it comes out saying like he's mad at me. And
Exactly.
that is very intimidating to me because he's always harsh. Yet I've lived with him for 50 years, and
So I would suggest when you go home from the class tonight, and he said, how was the class? You say, I got an insight that I'm not the only one that feels hurt when someone says never mind to us. Why do we feel hurt? What's the problem? What are the feelings that are there?
You're being ignored.
Say it again, Chuck.
You feel like you're being ignored.
You're being ignored,
And not validated.
That's exactly it.
not validated. And to say, I realize I'm not the only one that's hurt by it. What could you say instead? Let's talk about it, because we're not angry with each other right now, and I wanna know what you said to me. But to do it at a time other than when he's just said, never mind. Because he's frustrated and you're frustrated, and that's not gonna turn out good.
I'm gonna add to that before we go to, I wanna add to that before we go to break. I know the biggest thing, you know, my husband, you know, he won't like say something and then I didn't get what he said. I said, say that again, and he said, oh, it's not that important. And so that would just really upset me because I would tell him, I said, it really bothers me that it's not that important. But how can you let me decide whether it's important in what you're saying? You know, it's not fair. You know that I have a hearing loss, and you know that I miss out. And so for you to say, oh, it's not that important, how are you to decide whether it's important or not? It's up to me to decide whether it's important, you know? And again, when you've been married for years, we've been married for 37 years, and we butt heads, you know? And now that he's hard of hearing, it's even more of a challenge, you know? But yeah, I think it's really important that we have to stand up for ourselves. Because before, I would just shut down and just not say anything and pout. And it was like, you know what? I'm important, you know, I've gotta stand up for myself. But again, I gotta do it in a nice way. But it's hard to do that with your spouse sometimes, right? Yeah. Jack agrees.
I guess. We're still honeymooning.
So could we keep a break for 5 minutes?
Sure.
To be back by 3 minutes after 7. Drinking fountains down here, as you saw there at the other end of the building too. Sue and I will trade places.
That was, over here too.
I just want to.
Oh, fine. Yeah.
March, and, you know, I tend to do it more than.
Well, my Lacey has a bit. Brownie champagne.
What a good idea. You wanna stay there, or do you wanna move over here?
presentation, and we're gonna be talking about, large gatherings, and about, especially during the holidays, cause that seems to be the biggest, I can't see your beautiful face. Okay. One of the biggest challenges for people with hearing loss is the holidays. And I know for me, especially as I lose more hearing and, getting older, I don't enjoy it like I used to. And so it's stressful. And, so a lot of times we're learning to adjust to, holiday gatherings. We have to kind of plan things. But what I wanna ask you is, what kind of holiday gatherings do you go to, and what issues do you expect? So I thought maybe we can kind of go around, and Kathy's gonna write up here about the holiday gatherings you go to and what issues that you are not having to deal with during the holidays. We'll start with Linda.
Trying to think, I'll be in two kind of situations. Christmas is the hardest in my sister's house because the sound reverberates. And when I go there, I have to switch programs on my implant. And sometimes it's difficult. When I don't do it, I just kind of feel like, But I also have trouble, just around the table itself. There are normal people speaking, but the thing is, they're not really speaking to me. They're speaking to everybody else. And I feel like I'm like that.
I missed the second one, I'm sorry.
Well, around the table, the people are speaking to each other, but they're not really speaking to me.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. What about you, Sharon?
I have that same problem, there's so many people around and, you know, you just get confused with who might be talking to me, and then if you don't answer them, you know, they just feel like, well, maybe she's not interested. And so that's where I have the problem. But I also, around these times, in stores, you know, trying to get my Christmas shopping done or whatever, and you can't find what you want, and to find a clerk or somebody that will help me and look at me, talk to me, to help me find different things, that's really frustrating. So I usually walk out of the store with not what I wanted. And nobody, you know, I try to take my daughter with me, which is my advocate, she usually can help guide me, but, you know, that's not always possible.
Okay.
Okay. Joe. Or Karen.
You've come out of a store without buying something?
Once.
Okay.
But I
Just
usually
check.
buy a candy bar.
You find those.
Yeah, I find those fine.
You know, I'm gonna add a little levity here. I actually really enjoy the holidays. And maybe it's because, you know, you're, on the average, I think everybody does maybe 3 or 4 or 5 gatherings or so, somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. But most of the folks, Karen and I already know. And so they're pretty easy to talk to, they're polite. I think they all know that I
honey.
Maybe it's gonna be a whiz.
That's a hard of hearing thing, we misunderstand a lot sometimes, it's like, wait a minute, that didn't sound right, right?
But I'll,
Yes.
I'll just get to a point where I'll just say, you know, I've just had enough. But I've been able to do some of these things that's talked about.
Mhm.
One of the things, it's kind of a compromise on the embarrassment. You don't wanna say, I'm deaf, I have a hearing disability. But to kind of bridge that and get a little empathy out of your audience, say, I have hearing aids, they're really great, but they're not that great.
Mm.
And,
Depends on the situation.
right.
Yeah.
But I've been able to isolate people and get a little closer to them without invading their space,
Mhm.
have a good conversation, that sort of thing. So overall, I enjoy it. But like I said, at the end of the day, you're just, and I think you touched on it in one of the classes, those of us with a hearing disability, it's passive listening. We have to totally focus on what we're doing.
Mhm.
So that puts a kind of subliminal strain on us.
Right.
Whereas those folks that have good hearing, they just do that automatically, by the way, without explaining anything. So I'm not aghast way before that. That's kind of.
Sure. And we'll talk more about that, Mary, I mean Sharon.
I was just gonna ask you, what do you do when you wanna take a hearing break? Do you take your hearing aids out? Or do you just go in, she should say, go into the bathroom and close the door so nobody can see you?
Yeah, I think Sue's reading it out.
Yeah.
There's a number of things you can do, but that's basically, you gotta isolate yourself somehow, some way for a little while. And take a break, and I've never really tried that, we're usually close to being done with all the activities, and it's getting late and so on and so forth, and you get to the finish line, I might be crawling, but we're getting there, and I haven't really gotten to a break point in the middle of everything where I'm going, I have a timeout. As I understand it, that's like taking a nap, pulling over and taking a nap when you're driving. 10 minutes can revitalize your body. So, and I guess there's certain, if you know what to do and how to do it, and you're in those situations, you can find a way to isolate yourself a little bit. And your ears just go. Literally.
And, yeah, and we'll talk more about that, I have a story about, last year taking a hearing break during one of our, holiday, get-togethers, and so I'll share that later, 'cause I know you guys know about that, about my grandbaby diapers, yeah, so. What about you guys?
You
Thinking
know-
about your aunt or your dad, what do you
Well, my
notice?
dad, yeah, my dad's a little bit different anyway, he just doesn't like a lot of people most of the time, and I don't think it has anything to do with that.
It works both ways.
So, it's okay. Like I said, he doesn't react quite the same, but at 90, he's not gonna have the energy levels, just being around him. I remember when we would go to Vegas and visit him, he said, boy, you've been down here for 3 days, no offense, I'm exhausted. He's out of his element. What I never stopped to think about was, how because anytime we're struggling to do something, I think it doesn't matter what it is, even if it's running and you're not in shape or whatever. Karen, she runs really well. But I've never stopped to think about how exhausting it is when you have to pay attention. And it's true of anything, it's just I never thought about it hearing.
Right, yeah, and we'll talk more about that. We'll talk about, active listening and passive listening between people that can hear well people that, you know, have hearing aids.
I
Hey,
just,
Jack.
typically I just deal with background noise, and the more background noise, the harder it is for me to hear.
So background noise is a big thing.
I think too, what's happened, we do this in, at my company, we'll sit in a meeting, and even though we have a rule of no side chatting, it's really hard not to do that sometimes. And I think if I think back now, Jack's not usually here for Christmas Eve dinner, but there is a lot of side chatting, almost always. There's very rarely more than probably 3 people in a conversation with 12 at the table. They're side chatting, and I think that just,
Yeah.
I don't know that people always did that, but I know we really do it now, and so I think I'm sure it's very different. It's even more of a struggle because you've got just amplified background noise, because you've got however many conversations are going on around the table, which is hard even for those who can hear, you're still focused, you have to focus on who you're talking to there, and basically learn to shut out what else is going on, so I can imagine how difficult
Can't shut
that,
up.
yeah, if you can't shut it off,
Right.
then it's,
And it's very true, because people with hearing loss, we have a difficult time shutting out walking background noise. People that have normal hearing, they're able to shut that out, block that out. So, do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I've also learned that one of the problems we have when there's a lot of side chatting is that as I listen for words, I pick up a word from over here, and my brain is trying to fit it into the conversation that was coming the other way. And I don't have a way to control that. And it does make it really, really hard.
Yeah.
I think a classic example of that is watching someone on a cell phone outside where there's construction going on, and they're just talking like everything is crystal clear. And those of us with a hearing disability would not even come close to being able to, we would be totally drowned out. So I think a cell phone really personifies background noise,
Mm-hmm.
at least for me.
Yes.
Karen was babysitting her niece, and the little rascal was just normally walking, and it just blew my door off. And maybe that's the active passive thing going on. But it always amazed me how some folks could just be outside of a mall with traffic going everywhere, and people were talking, and they're just chatting away on the cell phone. I didn't know Laura can do that in 5 minutes. And I'm guessing that's because of the hearing
Because of
loss.
the hearing, yeah.
But
Because
it's starting to make a lot more sense to me.
it does, and that's probably the biggest complaint, in working with people with hearing loss and in the classes is background noise. That tends to be the biggest complaint. Even though they say, well, the hearing aids, and even though you can program to block out background noise, but it doesn't always work, it helps, but it's still a challenge, so,
There,
Yeah.
one thing about it, I've heard it said when hearing people hear things, the sound itself, the things that they don't want to hear, just kind of being themselves, and they're getting, what they need to. Whereas with us, all the sound we're getting is directly into the ear itself, so everything goes in. But with hearing people, you don't get everything in your ear, it bounces out.
right.
I want to throw out a different kind of event that I'm concerned about, and that's my grandchildren's school programs during the holidays. Because usually the schools are not very accessible. And
I am dreading tomorrow, but I like to support my grandkids. My granddaughter is going to be one of the stars at Josephson thing is called, in a play at her school. And I like to be there, but do you think I can hear anything that's being said? Cause they don't have this T-coil in their mics, and their sound in that building is just, you know, the music doesn't make sense to me, and her speaking, and that's what I go for, is to see her, and, you know, to see the kids, and you just think, I just have to focus, just that she's talking, but who knows what she's saying, you know?
And you end up saying, you look beautiful up there, you look so confident.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up because my grandkids, you know, my granddaughter, she was in dance and of course they have a recital, you know, at the end of the year. And I remember, well, no, she was in a play as well. And I was kind of dreading going because I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to understand her, and, you know, but I was thinking about me, but then I thought, okay, what can I do to turn it around and not be depressed about it? And I thought, well, you know what? I could just be there and just be in the moment and just watch her, how she acts, and so what if I can't understand her? And just be there and to see the pride of her, you know, saying her piece or singing and dancing. And I tell you, once I let go of that, oh, poor me, I'm not going to be able to hear and understand, then I was okay, you know, because it is what it is, you know, because of my hearing loss, I am just not going to get it all. And once I was able to grasp that and think about that and say, you know, it's okay, I'm there for her, you know, it's not about me. You agree with that? Yeah, okay. So anyway, one of the things is we talk about how noise and understanding and gatherings during the holidays, you know, we look at the type of barriers on why we can't hear. So what I would like to do is have you look at this handout where it says sometimes it's harder to hear and why. And what I want you to do, there's 3 different barriers. One is environmental barriers, could be the person talking, or it might be us. What I want you to look at is the environmental barrier. Just kind of read through that, and we will be talking about that. Okay, so as we look at the environmental barriers, you know, the first one is if about music or television noise, you know, like when you go to the Thanksgiving dinner, and of course, a lot of times you have football people, you know, they got the game on, or sometimes they have music during Christmas, they like to play the Christmas music, and one of the challenges with hearing loss is that it's more challenging to able to understand when the TV's on and the music is on. So how would you deal with that?
I would add one more on the environmental barrier,
Yeah?
is when you're taller than everybody else,
When you're taller than anybody?
nobody's speaking to you. Believe me.
No, it's when you're shorter than
No,
anybody.
No,
one
because
talks.
I look down and I talk to you, nobody looks up and talks to me. I'm telling you,
Really?
seriously, I'm constantly like, what?
And I'm constantly standing on a stool saying, what?
So vertically challenged
Don't
people
I
is
hear.
not good.
Okay.
No, it's true.
in my family, they'll be talking like this. And because I do depend a lot on lip reading, I notice I'm doing this, you know, and, but then I learn, it's like, you know what, I need you to look up so I can lip read you.
But I guess what I've learned to do is to do what I just did, is bend over and give you my ear, like you said, you know, letting people know that you can't hear. And that's my way of doing it, is I need to kind of get down here and speak to me now,
Get down to your level, or up to your level, yeah.
don't I?
So what can you do if the TV's up and, the music's on and you're having a hard time? How would you handle that with the person with the hearing loss? You said ask
I
them
said
to
go
turn it off?
Well, and I think that that's one of the things, I don't like television, and I mean, whatever happens with soft music in the background, even the restaurants, I think that's half of the problem in the restaurants now, even those of us who can hear, you're screaming across the table at each other, and that's ridiculous, so, I don't know where that came from, but anyway, I would much rather have just quiet and just allow people to talk, or have it very quiet in the background, if there is some music that has to be quiet enough that you're really not even aware of it.
Yeah. What about you, Jeff? Is that a challenge for you if there's,
There definitely is, and, I was visiting a longtime friend that I see every year. He's got hearing aids, another friend has hearing aids. And the other two people, they're not normal, but they can hear. Thursday night, football. So we sit down to eat, and I just said, hey, how about we, anybody okay with if we just turn the TV off while we eat? And they all almost instantly, they all went, great. So just suggesting, that, and you're not always gonna be successful. 'Cause sometimes the game's going on and they're not eating yet, and somebody's having a glass of wine, or nibbling on some snacks, and they wanna catch the score a little bit, so they're buzzing by and doing it. But when you're all focused like on eating, then you can make your suggestions about background noise to while you're eating. I just wanted to share that one success story. I think if, you move into that assertive mode, I don't think you're gonna get turned down very often. Folks are just gonna say, oh no, I'm gonna go turn it up. I just don't see us behaving that way, folks are receptive.
and I think that's the big thing, if you, I know if I tell my son-in-law, he likes to play the music, on his computer, and he's really receptive if I say, you know, I really wanna be able to hear and understand, you know, is it okay if you can turn that off? Or I'll say, turn it way down, you know, 'cause I don't wanna say, can you turn that off, you know, I try to be very diplomatic about it, and he says, oh, yes. You know, people are usually pretty accommodating, you know, when you ask them, you know, in a nice way, and, you know, being, assertive, but yet, like you say, not aggressive, you know, like, turn that dang thing off, you know, how can I understand you guys, yeah. So, what about, when, sometimes, I know for people with hearing loss, lighting is very important. And so if you dim the light, and it makes it harder to, cause I remember, when, it's harder for me to understand people at night, like if you're in the car and the light's off. And I'll tell people, I don't hear well in the dark, you know, because I depend on lip reading, and light plays a very important role in that. Linda?
There's also the opposite thing, where somebody's sitting behind a window with a light, you can't see their face either.
Right, exactly. So it's important when you're at a gathering to pick where you wanna sit, you know, like I try to not sit where the light's in my face and the person in front of me because her face is dark. What do you call that, backlight? And, so that's really important too, as well. What about, talking from too far away? Because with hearing aids, you can only, it's only good from 4 to 6 feet. So if Ron over there in the corner is talking to me, I can't understand him very well. So what would you do if you're far away from a person that you're having a hard time? You tell them to come here?
Yeah, figure out a way to close the distance.
I was sitting with someone today and told them about the presentation tonight. And she said, I just love, she said, I worry about my mother, but she always has someone, she'll sit in her seat with a place beside her, and she grabs each of the grandchildren as they come by and say, sit down here for 5 minutes. Tell me what you're doing right now in your life. And 5 minutes are up and they move on and she gets another one. Come sit here and tell me. And it works.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. What about you guys? How would you handle it?
And I guess part of what I was thinking is she chose where she could hear them. She sat there because the light was right.
Mm-hmm.
The noise was somewhat controlled. And got them one at a time.
Yeah. That's a great way of doing it. Yeah. So, let's see. I know sitting around the table, how would you situate yourself, at a, say at Thanksgiving or at a Christmas dinner? What would be the best place to sit? And if you're having a hard time understanding, how would you handle that? I know for me, when my family knows that I pick where I'm gonna sit. Because I've gotta sit, usually I like to sit in the middle, so I can see everyone. The ideal thing is to have a round table, but unfortunately, usually it's a long table. So I will kinda like sit in the middle, but with my back toward the wall. Because I don't wanna have to pick up noise from all around, so I'm only just picking up noise in front of me. And I try to sit with someone that I feel comfortable, that can kinda tell me what's going on if I'm missing out, kinda like, we call it a hearing buddy. And they can kinda clue me in what's going on, or I just have a one-on-one conversation with that person. So, what do you guys do during the holidays?
That's what I try to do too. I'm actually sat at a table rather than me choosing where to sit, just because the nature of where everybody's sitting for supper, and that sort of thing. But I always seem to get almost in the middle, because there's 4 across this way, 4 across this way, and 2 here. So I'm almost in there. But it's kind of interesting because if I have to, I can ask my sister, who's just right over on the other side of the wall.
What's it like for you, Sharon?
I haven't figured it out yet.
You will after tonight, right?
I'll try. Cause we just have, a big family and everybody's every which way, and of course I fix the dinner all the time, and I'm always getting up and getting something for somebody else, and, then I miss out on everything, so I just haven't figured it out where I should sit.
Okay. So another thing that you can do assistive listening devices. I don't know, do you use an assistive listening device at your gatherings? You know, like a pocket talker or?
I have at like big church parties or something, and I would walk around with my little microphone, and it was needed there. Family things I don't, but something like that where I know I'm not gonna understand. And before I got my implant, the implant has made such a difference, but when I was losing so much hearing, that assistive listening device really helped a lot.
Well, let's move on to the next part, about the person that is talking to you. So if you wanna read that part, could be the person talking. These are like speaker barriers that we face, yeah.
How about the middle one? Your husband is the problem with this one.
Yeah, I know Shelley, when she typed this up and she has a Santa style mustache and beard, I know she was thinking of my husband. Because he's got this big white beard and mustache, and even though I've asked him nicely to trim that or at least wax it, you know, because it's really hard to speech read
Yeah.
a bottom lip, you know, so, yeah, it's a challenge. So, I get pretty frustrated, but I'm not gonna go there. So,
You've already been there.
I have been. So, what are the biggest challenges when someone is talking to you? As far as, you know, with the hearing loss? Not getting your attention first? Yeah? They don't face you? Okay. What else? What is the speaking styles?
Hands in front of their mouth so you can't try to look for them. There's a lot of times everybody's sitting there like, blah, 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 and you're just going, hello,
Okay.
you know.
Okay, so they're trying to cover your mouth. Because a lot of times, people with hearing loss, we depend so much on speech reading. And even those that are just, coming to terms with their hearing loss don't realize that they are speech reading. In fact, I was talking to a woman last week who had a pretty profound hearing loss. And she was telling me, I was sitting with her after class, and she said, I don't lip read. And I said, everyone lip reads to a certain extent. But we don't realize that. And especially as your hearing gets, worse over time, you depend more and more on speech reading, than you realize. And I said, are you looking at my lips now? Can you understand what I'm saying? And she said, yes. And then I covered my mouth and said, can you understand what I'm saying now? And she just like, and so I dropped my hand and I said the exact same thing I just mentioned earlier. I said, so see, you are a speech reader. She said, yes, I guess I am speech reading. So it's really important that we let people know, you know, you've got to face me, you've got to not do the walk and talk where they'll start talking to you and then they look away, and then you don't get that last part. So is that a chip, Jack, you're looking at? Is that?
Bingo!
So, what are some of the other challenges with, someone talking to you that you have a hard time with? Some of the barriers in how they speak to you?
Well, I believe when somebody speaks too soft, they also stop enunciating, and finishing speech, that's very frustrating. That's just the mumbling.
Mumbling.
Yeah, I like that one.
What about you, Shannon?
It's the same with me, the mumbler, I can't stand a mumbler, you know? I can't stand that, but I had the experience where I went to a play and gave them my money, and the girl was trying to tell me where I needed to go, and she'd go, "You need to go over, no, look at me, I can't see you." In fact, I had a badge on which I lost it, and I said, "You have to look at me and tell me." But every time she'd turn her head, I finally just followed the crowd, because she just would never look at me. I told her 5 times, "Please look at me and tell me, you don't need to follow your hand with your back," you know, but.
That's gotta be very frustrating.
I've had that person.
Have you had that person? It must have been the same way.
Unfortunately, probably not. There's thousands of them.
What about distracting mannerism? What would that be? Kathy?
The person who says, "Well, we opened our presents this morning, you know, and we all got a lot of fun things, you know, and they keep repeating some word in there. And you know it's an old one, but the kids do it now too. And a lot of the, too many, those kinds of things that are part of their speech pattern, but don't help get the information across. And I want to add another one. There was a woman in the neighborhood when I grew up, and after every sentence she would stretch her mouth. I don't know if it was left over from something, but I would watch her. Like an obnoxious little kid, but I still remember how terribly distracting that was.
Yeah.
Facial expressions are sometimes very distracting, you know, especially if they're trying to say something really fun and nice, and they just all of a sudden go, you think, okay, was that a bad word, or, you know? So, you know, facial expressions sometimes.
Where it's overly
Mhm.
expressive, or they talk like this and have no expression
No
at all.
expression at all.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because that's one of the things with hearing loss, you know, we depend on a lot of clues, visual clues, facial expressions. You know, are they talking about something that is happy or sad, or are they angry? Also the gestures, you know, that helps. So we depend a lot on visual clues as well as speech reading, as well as what we can hear, and how our mind is filling in those blanks, you know, because as we've talked about with Joe and Jack, in my mind, I feel like I'm playing Wheel of Fortune all the time, filling in the blanks. And sometimes it's not always right. And so you're thinking, wait a minute, that word, it doesn't seem right. And so when the person is talking and keeps talking, you get more and more behind. And then pretty soon you're lost in the conversation. Did you experience that? Okay. Sometimes? So, okay. So we talked about people who talk with food in their mouth, or gum, or a cigarette. My dad used to always have a toothpick in his mouth when we talked outside of the side of his mouth, and so I'd have to say, "Dad, take that toothpick out. You know I can't lip read you. It's hard to lip read a half a mouth." So what is there anything else on the list, a person that's speaking with you that is distracting or bothers you that's not on here? Joe?
You get someone from India on US citizens tend to have from other countries. They're very fluent in English, but they just say it differently. And your brain takes just a skosh longer, and that, your hearing takes a little bit longer. So whenever I get one of those folks on there, I start the conversation by telling them about my problems.
So slowing down helps
Right.
in understanding.
But even that cultural thing, that cultural component, you're not gonna overcome it.
Right.
They're always going to say, you have to fight. Well, I'm gonna get, can I help you? Cause I think they learn English, but then they plug it into their way of speaking that, it's not a perfect match. So now we're back to the hearing disability, we're in the passive world. And we've gotta use some more energy that a person with normal hearing probably wouldn't have to do. But yeah, it's just frustrating to get that, the helpline folks from a different culture are a challenge.
What do you think, Kathy?
And besides saying things differently, they say it with a different rhythm in their speech. It doesn't sound English if you listen to it, not trying to hear what they're saying, but you just hear, it rises and falls in a different way than a native English speaker. I find if I listen long enough to a person like that, I get used to it and can pick it up. But not on the phone. So don't have your holiday gatherings on the phone.
Say that again, Kathy, I missed what you said.
I said, don't have your holiday gatherings on the phone.
Yes. Okay,
There's one more thing you need to put on there, it's the tone of voice that they have. Whether they're, speaking low or high or something. Because for years before I got this done, my year implanted, I had a very difficult time understanding Ian because those particular tones were very difficult for me to understand. Once I got this, it was better. But I still find there's still some tones I don't get at all.
bring up a good point because, everyone has different speaking styles, different tones, some have a higher, voice. I understand, low voice, I understand Jack really well, I don't have to focus so much on understanding you. My husband, he's got a soft voice, and he has what I call the Godfather voice, because he doesn't really enunciate well, but that's just his speaking style. And, so for some, some people you're gonna understand better than others, you'll have some, the mumblers, where they just wanna talk through their teeth and they don't really move their mouth, or you have some that don't show much expression, and so sometimes I tend to avoid people that I don't understand well. So, how we doing on time?
We're out.
Huh? We're out?
Yeah.
Time out?
Wind up.
Okay, wind up. So, the last part is, the person that has the hearing loss, on here, severity of hearing loss, how much of a hearing loss you have, and whether, they wear hearing aids. Do they advocate for themselves, ask for what they need, or do they use assistive listening devices? How well is their speech reading skills? Tinnitus. Does anyone have tinnitus? I know that when I'm stressed, my tinnitus level goes up, so I don't hear as well. Or if you're motivated to hear, those kinds of things. So, we're gonna wrap it up and we're gonna,
So the last section of this is part of your preparation for the things we're going to be doing is to take care of yourself. Give yourself every possible chance to succeed. auditory fatigue is a real thing. We've talked about it. My ears get tired. Well, they do, and hearing people get tired in noisy situations. But I think we do get tired sooner. I want you to think, how long can you last in a noisy situation? And it will be different for each of us. For some of us, it's a half hour, and that's it. Others, maybe an hour. Others can go all day. Some of them, it's 10 minutes and I'm out of here. Know yourself. Know how long you can do it. And allow yourself to take those hearing breaks to make a difference in being able to come back and do it again. So I want to do this quickly because it's supposed to take more time than we have left. So one of the key things you need to do is to get plenty of rest. With all that has to be done during the holidays, don't cut back on your sleep. Take care of yourself. You need to have that energy to face the physical demands of listening to noise, but also the emotional demands of, oh, am I going to get it wrong again? Another one is, and I said to respect your time limit. If you know you can't do a 2-hour party, then let your hostess know I'm going to come at the beginning, and I don't think I can do more than an hour. And then I'll be leaving. It's just, my hearing loss is a problem. I just can't stay in the noise for that long. And let them know ahead of time. And then there are the wonderful hearing breaks. We've kind of talked around those, but whatever reason you give, if you need to get out of the noise, get out of the noise. It's okay. Treat yourself ahead of time to whatever relaxes you. If it's a massage or a pedicure, do it. If it's a soak in the tub, do it. If it's just taking a nap, do it. But treat yourself to something that will relax you before you go. Give yourself permission to say, no, thank you. I can't do that. You have so many opportunities during the holidays. Look at your schedule. Recognize that if you have 3 things on the same day, you're going to be basket case by the 3rd, and you might as well say no now. When my children were little, Sunday was a big day for us with church and with family dinners and whatever. And I found that I couldn't do anything with them on Mondays. If I tried to take them someplace, they were tired, they were angry, and it was just frustrating. So it was back in those days when we had paper calendars, and I wrote on every Monday, stay home, stay home, stay home. And a friend would call and say, let's meet up for lunch on Monday. And I'd say, oh, no, I've got something on my calendar, I can't do it. So schedule it and put it on your calendar that I am going to do something nice for me that's going to let me re-energize myself. Think what re-energizes you. I bet we have a bunch of different things, but what do you do, Jeff, when you want to get your energy back? Do you ever run out of energy?
No, I don't suffer from that. She's worse than I am. But if I do get tired, I just
Yeah.
go away. I'm sorry. If I do get tired, I nap.
I envy, my husband does that too. What do you do? Jen?
I really don't run out of energy. I know that sounds crazy, but true.
You're the Energizer Bunny.
My dad calls me.
Lucky you.
Can I have borrow some of your batteries?
What about you, Joe?
I'll just relax and just maybe So just being, and I just being alone in the house, and, but my grandfather was a master at cabinet. And I tried to take advantage of that now that I'm retired,
Uh-huh.
sneak in a little 15 minutes. And like folks that get drowsy when they're driving. 15 minute nap save a lot, really.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I like to nap or just be alone sometime.
You gotta do
Do
it.
something different.
Yeah.
Instead of the chores or a project or this, I'll pick something different that's more on the recreation line. Kind of fool around with that for a little bit.
I like that. Karen, what about you?
Go outside where it's quiet.
Sharon?
That's what I would do, is go outside where it's quiet or outside, take a little nap. Take 10 minutes, but I am an energy buddy. My husband says, just sit down. I can't, I'm sorry. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, So he'll say, just sit. Well, I can't be like you. And that's how he does, is sit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Linda, what do you do to re-energize?
Actually, I do a little bit of meditation, but at the same time, I have found that if I get some exercise during the day, I feel better for the rest of the day too.
And so it's kind of a combination.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. One of the hints in here is to know how to relax, to actively practice relaxation and meditation. Because when you are in these tense situations where your ears have just had it, to be able to say, and let go of that tenseness, may save me another half hour. One suggestion here is take separate cars. If you're going with someone, you're stuck with staying as long as they're there. If your spouse loves to stay and you need to be able to leave, don't be in the same car. Just a thought. If your hearing aids have a noise reduction program, use it. If they don't have a program like that, call your audiologist and find out if one is available for the hearing aids you have. And get it put on. It makes a huge difference. If you can't get a noise reduction program, this reduces a lot of noise. And sometimes you've got to do it. And that's part of the hearing break movie. Whether you do it while you're around people or off by yourself is up to you. Keep exercising. And if you have tinnitus, and none of you have it, right? So we don't need to talk about it. You have a little bit. Do you know what makes it worse?
It comes and goes.
Mine comes and goes too. And I haven't figured out for sure what makes it worse. But when I figure it out, I will avoid that, whatever it is, because it's so annoying.
can I ask, what is,
Ringing in the ears.
um,
You hear a sound in your head that is not generated by the environment.
I have tinnitus and it's just a constant, just constant. And I've had it since I've, grown up. And if I'm stressed out, it's louder. And I know, if my blood pressure's up, it's louder. So that's part of the hearing loss as well. Most people usually with hearing loss have some type of tinnitus. And sometimes it could just be a chirping, some people experience like a chirping or a hum. So what is yours like?
I have a real quiet one all the time. That sounds like a fan on in the other room. It doesn't bother me at all. And I didn't even realize that's what it was until I was presentation. And then I have since developed an intermittent one that is very loud, kind of a deep sound, kind of a and it gets louder, and but I know it will go away. And as soon as I put it in my mind it's gonna go away and I just relax, it fades. Not instantly. But for some people it is foods that they eat like nuts or chocolate or caffeine or alcohol. For other people it's being too tired or being too stressed. And the trick with tinnitus is, and you can say it either tinnitus or tinnitus, the trick is to learn to put it out of your mind and not let it interfere. Linda?
The only time I ever get tinnitus is when I'm being napped. And as a result, I cannot tell what sounds are coming through and how many, because I can't tell the difference between what I'm hearing and what my brain is giving me.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah, I identify with that. Being mapped is programming the cochlear implant. So it's, yes. So, one thing we came up with too is that sometimes, one of the hardest things at a large gathering is I get so hot I can't focus. And so dress in layers. You know, wear something that you can take off or add to, so that you can control how the environment is affecting you. There's one other thing. Can you take about 2 more minutes? There's one other thing that I want to touch on, and that's the problem that we are not islands. We aren't in this life by ourselves. And sometimes our spouses will say, I know that's hard for you, let's not go. When really they do want to go. And there's some of the feeling of, if I make you come along with me, I'll feel guilty. If you stay home, you'll feel guilty. If you're reaching points like that, and it doesn't sound like any of you are, but if you do, you need to talk about it. Not at the time it's time to leave, but how are we going to handle this? This is getting harder for me as the years pass. I can't do as much as I used to do. And I know you like to go. Some of them are okay if you go without me. You need to talk about it and work out what you can do. And I don't know. How do you feel about that? Are you feeling any of that? I want to go and he doesn't. Not yet.
Now he looks at you.
Actually, you know, it's interesting because, for instance, with my dad, he's, even my stepmother has Alzheimer's, and he's 90 and she's 76, but before she was having so many problems and really diagnosed with it, he doesn't like to, when we were living in Vegas, he doesn't like to go to casinos, he didn't like to do a lot of things, so he stayed home, she went. And they always used to do everything together, but as he got older, it was just, I don't wanna do it, you know, so those were the things, they did other things together, but it was okay that she did that, he didn't, you know, or exercise or whatever else she was doing by herself. And I don't think there's a problem with that, sometimes it's nice to be away.
It is. And you need to be able to talk about it and say it's okay. It's okay. And yet there's some things that say, I can't do that anymore. We've got to go together. How often can we do it? But to work that out so that it becomes a team effort. Don't remember your names. But I've circled things, so let me just see what it is. What's the best solution? How do we relieve the guilt on both sides? By anticipating the situations before going and trying to reach a compromise. You won't get it all right this holiday season, but when you don't get it right, learn from it. And then think, you have a whole year to think about how can I questions, comments? This is the first time we have given this full presentation. Do you have suggestions for it? Is there something
Yeah.
missing that you wish we touched on?
Well, I think one thing is like you made the comment about you didn't want people to know. If you know, then, you know, I can cover my mouth, or I always talk and walk away. I mean, if we know that's a problem, you know, if I, like, if I went working, I had a lady come in that had hearing aids, so I knew immediately, I need to talk slower and talk at her, so if we know that some of these are issues, then we'll work on it, cause sometimes I don't know, you know? Like I saw one that said, please patient, and I'm so guilty of this, if Joe doesn't answer, like at a restaurant, if he's ordering, and they're asking for his order, and he doesn't answer right away, I'm thinking, can't hear, so I gotta talk louder, and I gotta, and but he's really can hear, and he said, I can hear that, and you just don't know, you know, so I think that's the key, is the communication, if we know these things, or you know, where to sit at a dinner table, I wouldn't have even thought about that, you know, it's like, okay, everybody's thinking now the whole table at home, okay, where should we put, so you can hear better, and it's like, so I think that's key, is just knowing, you know, don't be embarrassed about it, cause that helps us too, cause we want you to hear, we don't wanna repeat it, you know, we want you to be able to hear us and communicate, and so I think that's key as well, just let people know, it's like, you know, this lady didn't have hearing aids that came into work, and she said, I just can't hear you, oh, great, then that's, you know, then that makes it easier,
Yeah.
to talk to her, but, yeah, but this, I thought this was, you know, I learned a lot.
Oh, good.
I actually agree with Karen totally, because I never really stopped to think about it, but when you're in the store, nobody can find anybody to help them anymore, so I don't feel bad that way. But then you have one other challenge, and it got me thinking, we have a nursery, that's the other reason why I'm being energizing, because I've got plants around me, so, speaking of going outside, as Joe had mentioned, or wanting to be outside, that's my meditation, so.
Uh-huh.
That I think people don't realize, you know, the different things, even though I've been around a few people who have hearing problems, we still go back into our normal covering the mouth, turning away, you know, speaking under our breath. I think people just do that. And it's not, most of us don't have someone around all the time that can't hear. So we go back into our poor habits, and they really are poor habits. We talk about enunciation, and when we were young, at least when I was young, you could stand up and speak out. Well, I don't think anybody hears that necessarily anymore, so I would say the bigger thing is the education to the public to help more. You know, just to understand, so that when, you know, even a sign in a store that says, you know, if you need extra help from hearing loss or whatever the appropriate politically correct word is, you know, at this point, that's up there, and then somewhere to go so that you could actually have someone help. I think it's ignorance on hearing, you know, people's
Well,
part, that we don't know what to do.
Well, we're not born knowing what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it falls on those of us who have learned to nicely say, this is what's needed.
And public education would be huge, would it not?
It would be.
Yeah, what if they have this monitor to grandkids
Yeah.
for Christmas? Wouldn't that be great?
This would be great, or
I
this
think
telecom
that'd be an easy
thing,
fix for
this would be
students.
awesome.
Uh-huh.
And I think too, a lot of hard of hearing people, they don't know what they need to do. So, and that's part of our job is to educate and teach people about your hearing loss and how to advocate for yourself and know what to ask for. Because a lot of times people with hearing loss that are struggling or are in denial, they don't know what they need, or they're afraid to say something. And so being around other people with hearing loss, we can share and say, oh man, I'm gonna try that. And these handouts, you know, they got wonderful tips on what you can do. And in fact, there's one gal, she's a comedian, she her name is Gail.
Gail.
She's got some funny stuff on, you know, 'cause you can use your hearing loss, humor, you know, with our hearing loss as well.
One thing, after I got my hearing aids, my kids would always say, as well as my husband, well, you've got hearing aids, can't you hear us? You know, and I'd say, no, and they say, that doesn't make sense. You know, so you have to educate them too, that, yes, I mean, like you said, they're good for 4 to 6 feet maybe, but after that, they're just, in fact, I say to some people, geez, I paid $4,000 for these stupid hearing aids and they don't work.
They're best in a quiet environment when the speaker is closed.
Right.
Shelley likes to say, they're not hearing miracles, they're just hearing aids.
Well, yesterday you said, or Tuesday, that glasses can correct your vision up close to 20/20. Hearing aids don't do that.
I know.
And I told her that, I said, you know, it's really hit me that, you know, you can correct your vision, but you can't get the same correction in your vision.
Not yet anyway. Maybe someday.
Joe,
The great takeaway for me is getting my arms around active versus passive. I think everyone in here, like, wake up call in some form or another on what this passive stuff is all about. How hard our ears have to work versus an active person, and vice versa. Both parties understand. I'm sure when my hearing is good, I used to have a good hearing. But, you know, listening was just being active. You do a multitude of other things. And then when you have a disability, all that changes. It's basically turned upside down. Now your ears have to go to work. So just starting to get my arms around that, I think has been really worth every minute being. Or nothing else, just that active versus passive.
I would agree, and like I said, even when Linda was saying that, you know, when you've got all of these noises or these words coming in all the time, I think, I've never stopped to think about it, but, you know, for someone who can hear, the ability to, however the brain works, the ability to say, this isn't important, when you have the hearing loss, I was feeling like every single thing, your brain's trying to go, oh my gosh, is this important, instead of being able to have the filter that goes, that's not important, which makes total sense where you can get rid of background noise if you can hear, where if not, the brain's got everything coming in and it has to in there go, oh my gosh, is this important, is that important, what do I do with this? That was really enlightening for me to think about it like that.
Can I just mention, a lot of times we do have to train other people, but I have found that the best advocate I have ever had is somebody with a hearing that understood me. Because then they're able to say to somebody else, hey, she didn't hear you, and this is why. And they will listen. Sometimes when you're telling them, it's kind of like this. But if they're hearing and they understand, you've got the world in your hands.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Julia,
the
thank
button.
you.
thank you, Julia.
She's a hearing person who understands it.
Okay, Joe, where did you get that book about? Is this just different
And
signs?
the pens are yours if you want them.
Where did I get this? Oh, I got this at Barnes and Noble
Oh, okay, and
in
you,
the,
in
in the
there,
eligible section.
in the book.
The section where they have,
Thanks.
Yes, and I will
books
email
discounted.
you,
Oh,
okay?
You and then I'll
And I
email
still
you
want that,
Yeah, I know, and I,
that thing, but it's been
Maybe
crazy,
go to-
so, but I got your email.
Office Depot, they
Yes,
sort
sir.
of did this stuff.
Ah,
It was great to meet you, Sue.
No,
Hope to see you again.
Huggers.
yeah, everybody is doing.
Yeah, it's
Yes, well, hearing loss is an invisible disability.
Right.
You never know. I never knew Joe had hearing loss, you know. Shelley's 55 on his birthday party, and Joe and Ken were there. I never knew he was hard of hearing, so. Joe took the sign class, so.
No, it was really helpful, it's great.
Yeah, great, appreciate your input too, so.
Even though it was one of those days where we really didn't wanna go with one another.
And that's okay. You go separate. Nice to meet you, Kiera, I'll give you a hug too. And I'm sure now that's me, that means I'm happy to see you. Thanks, Joe, I'm sure I'll see you, we'll be in touch.
I'm so glad you came.
Yeah, very good, okay.
First grade,
Yeah.
yet I'm learning, but it's really,
Good.
you know, that there's stuff out there. And all the time is what I really, more, but it's frustrating.
It is, well, I hear you, yeah. So, we do the best we can.
This place has really been nice for me, because like I said, I've taken that speech, during class, and I'm signed up to go into January to finish it, just to get those things, and my daughter has come with me to it.
Oh, good.
So she knows, what I'm